morning, Sunny here, Sunny Snaps in Australia, and I haven't done a video for a few days, quite a while actually, I think a week maybe. Been a bit busy, but ready to get stuck into it today. So working on this one-of-a-kind journal slash folio slash photo album. So I think I'm calling it a photo folio journal slash journal, because I am going to put photos in it of my kids, and I am also going to do some journaling in it for my memories when the kids were growing up. So this one in particular is for the photos of my two kids together as they're growing up. So I've gone through and picked out my favourite photos of the two of them together for the first about till their early teens anyway, and I have about 30, so I'm going to fit them in here. And this is a book, if you watch my first video, it's a book I've covered before and I've recovered it, and it's called One of a Kind because that's the paper, one of a kind. And this is scrapbooking paper that I've had for a very long time. So I've pulled out these pieces of paper to make as the signature. These are all really quite heavy duty papers. This is a really heavy duty textured paper. It's absolutely gorgeous. Don't know how well you can pick that up, but it's absolutely adorable. I love that. And some shiny card. This one's actually a scrapbook paper. That's the lightest page in here. And more card. This beautiful handmade type paper with petals in it. Again, I've had it for a very long time, but absolutely love it. So that's coming in here. More card. Another scrapbooking paper and another card. I gathered all my favourite pinky type papers and just chose my favourites to use for the pages. Because it's really heavy, I'm going to end up with this. The page is not even at this end, but that doesn't bother me. If it does bother you and it's something you want to do, you just trim them all off to the front page. And it's because it's such heavy duty card that you end up with a lot of thickness here, and hence these being out of whack. But they all fit into my journal, so I'm not worried. I'm going to leave it like that. I did also contemplate breaking it into two signatures. I have 10 pieces of card here, so 10 pieces of card for each thingo. So 10 by 5. I actually have 40 pages if you count the sides. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 like numbered pages in a book. There's actually 40 sides. But when I broke it in two, so I'll just do it like this for now and put them together. This spine's not very wide, so if I do two signatures, they'd have to be really close together, and I think that would actually be worse than having the one fat signature. And this journal is going to become an alligator mouth, but I'm happy with that. I will do a ribbon or something around it to close it off so I can tie it closed, because I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up being an alligator mouth, which alligator mouth is when your journal basically sits like that. So if I put a string around it, I can pull it shut. So, long introduction. I have marked these pages, and you probably won't see it on there. I'll mark them on here. I went through and just marked the what do you call it? I want to use blue. I want to find, I'll just use black, where I want the holes. So literally you do the holes about half an inch or a little bit more from the top, another one the same from the bottom, and one in the middle. And this is just going to be a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Oh my gosh, I'm tongue tied. Anyway, this is just so you can see where I marked the holes. I always have my holes about this far from the top and bottom, and then one in the middle, and if you're doing a 5-hole one, you can put 2 in the middle of those as well. But because this is really heavy duty card, I think it's going to hold up quite well, so just going to do the 3-hole in this one. So I will get my first page. I tend to wing it. You can measure it. I've got this little card here that I've made up for the spacing of holes if I need 4 holes, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in there. And now I just keep that to keep my needles in. And that's what I was going to show you next, is the needles you use. I have wax thread, which is just bought online, and you can get that in heaps of places, Amazon, Temu, all over the place, Etsy, I'm sure, eBay, blah blah blah. It's got a wax coating on it, so it's nice and slippery, which makes it a lot easier to sew. Sometimes I'll use embroidery thread or other threads, but I'm using the wax thread on this one. I'm using grey because grey tends to be very neutral, and there's grey in these boxes here as well, so it matches quite well. And my needles, I've pulled out 3 here. This one is massive, which I'm sure you can see there. It's the full width of my palm. Huge needle, and a sharp one. And I won't use that on here because that will make your holes quite a big size using that size needle, which is okay if that's what you want. I'm not going to use that in this one. And then I've got 2 more here. So one's a bit smaller. This is the one I'm going to use for this book. It is a sharp point, but this one's a blunt point needle, and I think they call them darning needles. They're quite good to use as well, but it's not very long. It's only short. So I'm going to use this longer one. Just gives me a bit more bite to be able to push it through the card. Rightio. So this one, it's pretty hard to see the holes. It's very hard to see the holes. Where are your holes? Did I punch them through? Yes, I have punched them through. That's not a good piece of paper to start with, because I can't see my holes. I know they're there. So I'll pick the second page, and I can see my holes in this one. There's a hole here, and a hole here, and a hole here, so I can see them there. So I just want to mark them in the middle of the spine, and I'm just going to sit this piece of card on here. So I have about the same of the cover showing back, top and bottom here. And this is just for me to mark my holes. So I'll try the pencil. Hopefully that goes through. Oh yeah, that goes through. There you go. So just using the pencil through those holes to mark the holes. You won't see my pencil marks once it's all in the book and you have all your decorations on there. So yeah, you probably can't see those marks, so I'll go through and mark them with a dark pen. There's one here, and one here. Makes it easier for me to find them as well. So they're in the middle, and then I'm ready to sew it together. Now, the way I've found easiest, and everyone will do this differently, and depending what book I'm working on, I may end up doing it differently myself as well. But I'm just pushing all the pages down right into the middle as far as I can get them to go. And then I'm going to put a huge paper clip, again, online. They're massive. These are brilliant paper clips. So that just holds that together, and I'm only going to do it on one side because I find if you do the second side, sometimes it just pulls all the pages in a bit wonky, and I find it easier just to do the one side. So I just line that up roughly here and get my needle and put some thread on it. Doing 3-hole pamphlet stitch, generally do 3 times the height of the book. So go 1, 2, 3. And if I think I'm going to do any, like thread any beading on or do something fancy in the middle of the signature, I'll sometimes add a bit more thread, but really 3 times the book I found is plenty. So now the fun part, threading, which is why these big needles with big holes work really well. Give yourself plenty of space here because it's quite easy to pull it off. Now we go through the middle And now hopefully my holes all line up because I have done them already. It's a bit fiddly. This is where a blunt needle's good because you don't push it through your hand. Oh, and dodo me, I haven't actually punched the holes out in the cover yet. And now this is a pretty thick spine because it's the original book plus the last covering I had on it plus this covering I've got on it. So it's going to be fairly hard to punch a hole through there. So usually you use an awl. This one is a, which one is this? It's a Sizzix one, which is quite good because it's got a lid. So when you put it away, you don't end up sticking your stuff. I have a couple of them which I've bought over the years. So I just push that through. I like to go right down to the end of your awl because the awl usually starts thin and gets thicker as it goes up. So then I've got a decent sized hole to work with because you've got to sew through these holes both ways. Oh, that's tough. These things are pretty good. And this spine's not going to fall apart. I can assure you of that. Not in a hurry anyway. So there we go. Push that through. Put that away. Oops. Got my hole in here. Put that through there. Another thing I like to do sometimes is I'll push the awl right through all the pages, and I'll leave the awl in there. Then it holds the pages together. But because these are quite thick pages in a big thick book, they're not really flapping everywhere. When you've got the light pages, like ordinary copy paper, tend to float around a bit. Now this is going to be the tricky part because I can't see the hole very well in that first page. So I'm just going to line it up the best I can. What I might actually do is push this all through here. There we go, so I can see the point. Then this is really tricky and it's really hard to show you. And I'm sorry about that, but I have to be able to see it properly. So I push that all through so I could see that first hole. And then that should go through quite easily. There we go. Did it. Yay! Work your needle through, wiggle it. And this is quite tough. Mostly just because of the thickness of the card is really, like I said, use really thick card. Normally when you're using papers, they go through a bit easier. I'm just going to pull this off now and then push this down. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the awl through all this paper again. I think my first holes weren't that big. Put the needle through those papers. That makes that much easier. Then put it through the cover. Now, there we go. You can feel when it gets to the hole because it'll just go through nice and easily. And the hardest part is coming back through the middle because you don't want to put your needle through your thread. And most of the time I manage to do that quite well. So pull this thread over that side. Make sure you put this on the opposite side of where that thread is. And there we go. Got it through. I actually threaded one the other day that I put it I split the thread and it was only a little one, but it made it quite difficult to oh my gosh, I'm doing so many ums today. Made it so difficult to tighten the thread because when you've threaded that needle through, and this one's being a real pest, so I might need to go through a couple of pages at a time. Once you've split the thread, it's really hard to explain, but then your needle's stuck in that position, a thread stuck in that position, so you can't tighten it properly. This is being a poop. I'm trying to do it without making a second hole. Just going to loosen this off a bit. See, this just shows you everything's not always super easy. Some people make it look super easy, and sometimes it goes really smoothly, and then sometimes, like today, it's being a poop and it doesn't want to do what I want it to do. So I'm just going to pull them off a bit and hopefully not pull my thread right out of that hole. Why do you not want to go through? There we go. Now we got it. There we go. See this? And I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty hard to see, but I've split that needle through that thread. So if I bring that right through like that, then I won't be able to tighten it properly. So just pull it to the side and hopefully it's not going through the thread now. Just wiggle your needle a bit. Oh, that was tough. That was a lot tougher than I was expecting. I thought this one might actually be easier. Then you have two threads. So you got your beginning thread and your end thread. Make sure that one thread is on either side of this long piece. That way, when you tie a knot, you tie it over the top of this long piece and it just knits everything together. Now, always check your tightness on the outside of your book, because sometimes you think, oh yeah, I've pulled that tight, and then you tie a knot and then you've got a big, like this, a loose piece here. Hope you can see that. But anyway, my voice is getting louder, so just got to pull that through. There we go. Also, just check in here as well, make sure that that's nice and tight in there as well, which it is. It's good. Righto. Just going to pull that through a bit more. Then we go left over right, right over left, which always feels totally backwards, but I guess that's the point, because if you do your knots that way, then apparently they're stronger and less likely to come undone. But I always do an extra on top, and when I do the extra one, I do the left one over twice and pull it. There we go. That leaves you like quite a decent knot there. But I don't mind. Rather have a good chubby knot than no knot at all, or a knot that's going to come out. I might leave this on here long at the moment because I might end up tying a little bead or something on there, which you can either flip up to the top or down to the bottom, or a charm of some sort. So we'll just have a look. See, alligator mouth. Well, because the cover's so stiff, it tends to alligator out anyway, but it's going to alligator out heaps, which, if I want to have it on display, is not such a bad thing because it keeps it up. But I will, like I said, put a closure on it that's going to hold that. So I'm just going to check how these pages are going. Yep, they all look pretty good. And with this thick card, I was thinking it might be really hard to read and hold the pages open, but no, it's quite good. And I'm going to end up with, I think, quite a few little flips and pockets and tags and things in here, because that's what I'm going to do my journaling on. And the photos will be the main heroes of each page. And then the journaling will be hidden in tucks and tags and envelopes and different bits and pieces. There we go. All sewn in. Excellent. Okay, so that's ready for the next step, and the next video I will start decorating the insides. I will probably, I don't know, I've got some little bits and pieces sort of half ready, so we'll see what happens in the next video for this book. I am going to do another video making some wonky envelopes today, but I will put them up separately because my upload speed is horrendous. So please like, please subscribe if you want to watch more of my videos, because depending on what you want to see and whether you want to listen to me or not will depend on how many videos I do in the future. So thank you very much for watching, and hope I see you in the next one. Ta-ta!